Hi everyone, my name is Lisa Masten. I'm the Library Director at the Lucy Robbins Welles Library in Newington, Connecticut. And today we're going to do our third virtual Redefined Reads. We're going to be making coasters out of rolled book pages. So in order to do this project, what you do need is you need book pages. And with that, you can use the inside of a book if you'd like, the pages from the inside of the book. You can also use like old songbooks. You can use music, you can use an atlas, and if you don't have any of those things, what you can use from home is like a newspaper or a catalog to use the pages from that. And the other things that you're going to need besides the paper is you need scissors to cut the paper, you need a bamboo skewer or some sort of skewer that you can roll with, glue or Mod Podge, and I like Mod Podge because it glues, and it also, you can do other things with it like we're going to do at the end. You need a small paintbrush, and you also need like a sponge dabber brush that we're going to use at the end as well. The first thing you're going to do is you take your book page and you're going to cut 4-inch strips. So this is what I did with these, is I cut 4-inch strips that I'm going to roll. And when you have the shorter the length of the book, the more of these strips you're going to have to roll for your coaster. So with an atlas, it took about 14 strips of paper to roll in order to get the size coaster that I wanted to do. So the first thing you do is you cut your 4-inch strips, and then you're going to take your bamboo skewer and you're going to roll. And what you do is you start at the bottom corner and you kind of grab the paper and you're going to roll. And you just kind of roll across. A hard surface works much better than trying to do it, and if you mess up like I just did, you just go back and you keep on rolling and you keep on rolling. Some days it works better than others, and I'm going to roll and I'm going to roll and I'm going to roll until I get to the very end, and then I'm going to take that last piece, and if it starts to kind of loosen up when you're at the end, just grab it and manually roll it till you get it kind of tighten at the end. And then you're going to take your Mod Podge, your glue the end of the piece here, and then push it down, and that's your first roll of paper. And then you pull out your skewer and you put it down. And so what you want to do is you're going to roll as many strips of paper as you need in order to make your coaster. So on an earlier project I'd worked on, this is how I made this many rolls that I needed to make the coaster. So that's what you want to do. And like I said, with the atlas paper, it took about 14 rolls in order to make the coaster. So the next thing you want to do is you want to start your coaster. And the first thing you do is you need to roll the very inner part. And the inner part of the coaster has to be tight. So you want to start by, you take your rolled piece of paper and you kind of flatten it. And you only want to flatten it, in this case you're going to flatten the whole thing, except when you get to the very end you want to leave it up just a little bit. So we're going to flatten it and we're going to start to roll it. And what I want to do is I want to start putting some of this glue or Mod Podge on it as I'm rolling it, so it glues it down tight as you're rolling. And I'm going to take the end piece and start rolling, and I'm going to roll it tight. And I'm going to keep gluing till I get to the end of this tube of paper. And like I said, you want to make it really tight because this is the center of your coaster. And if you kind of mess up and it's loose, just unroll it and go back, because a lot of times if it's loose, it's not really adhering that well with the Mod Podge or the glue. And I will honestly say that this is probably the hardest part of making the coaster, because the paper is really more difficult to manipulate. And so I'm making it really tight and I'm gluing. And be generous with your glue because it's not going to matter, it's going to dry clear, and I'm going to keep rolling. And I find for me that it's easier when I hold it like this to roll, but sometimes it might be easier if you put it on the hard surface and roll it that way. But I'm rolling and I'm keeping it really tight, and I'm squeezing to make sure that that glue is catching. And we're almost done this. And then I'm going to show you how you continue with this coaster. And we're almost there. And I will say that sometimes your hands can get tired, but just take a break and it'll be fine. Okay, so we're getting toward kind of the end of this first tube. And I've kind of glued it. And on the very first one, just hold it for a little bit so it really, really, really catches, because you don't want this piece coming undone. And what we're going to we're getting ready to do right now is we're getting ready to add the second tube. And basically what you're going to be doing to create your coaster is you're going to be feeding one tube into the next tube until you don't need any more tubes, and then your coaster is done. So this is glued pretty well. And what I'm going to do is now add my second coaster. I find it the easier thing to do is you take your rolled piece of paper, and like I said, probably from here to here, you're going to flatten it, but leave the ends open like that. So I'm going to flatten it because it makes it easier to roll. But I'm not going to flatten it all the way down. I left the two ends open. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add glue right here, and I'm going to add glue in the middle, and then I'm going to attach the next piece of paper. I'm going to squeeze it, put it down, add glue, and roll some more. And what happens is you eventually get to the diameter that you want for your coaster. And these coasters that we're doing are about 3.5 inches in diameter. So that came out to be about 14 rolled pieces of paper. And you keep rolling and you keep rolling until you're done with your coaster. And what eventually will happen is you will get to something that looks like this. And we're almost done with this coaster, and this is kind of what you're going to be doing is you're adding and adding the tubes until you get the diameter that you want. So this one only needs one more for it to be complete. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you what you do at the very end when you get to that point. So I'm going to add the glue for this final strip. And I'm going to add glue in the middle, because every time you add a tube, you want to add glue on the inside here, and you want to add glue in the middle, because that's where you're going to be attaching the tubes. I'm going to squeeze this a little bit tight to catch it, roll this forward, and the one thing I forgot to do, but you should do, is you should flatten it as much as you can, and we're going to start rolling. And this is where I find it easier, like to hold it and roll it. You just glue, be generous with the glue, and you keep rolling. And then you're going to get to the point where you get to the end of this piece of paper, and this is our last strip, our last tube that we're going to use for this coaster, and then our coaster will be done. So what I'm going to do is be pretty heavy on the glue. I am going to squeeze this one down because I want it flat. I'm going to push it down like this, and then I'm going to take the glue and just kind of smother it here and hold it down. And that's how you kind of end where the paper is. Like this. And that is your coaster. And what we did is you can make as many as you want. We are putting kits together, and I'll tell you at the very end what you're getting in your kit. But the last thing you really want to do with your coasters is you want to take the Mod Podge, and you're going to dab it all over the top and bottom and sides of your coaster. And it gives it a nice sheen, but it also makes it a little firmer. So you basically are just dabbing, and go all the way around. And then once this dries, I'll flip it over and I'll do the other side and the edges. So I do that and I let it dry, and I'm going to add another coat, and then your coasters will be done. And in this case, I ended up making 4 coasters. When you are rolling it too, the one thing I would like to add is it's not going to be completely flat, because the papers, you know, with the way you roll them, they're not all uniform, but you can push down a little bit as you're making them at the very end to kind of give it an even surface. But I think it gives you kind of a neat look that it isn't perfect, because nothing is perfect in life. So I made 4 coasters, and once this one dries, I'll have a nice set of coasters. It might make a nice gift for somebody. And I wanted to show you, like, even with the music pages where it's black and white, it is kind of cool the way you can kind of see the notes, and it's kind of more of a clean looking. This one gives you more color. And the other thing I was thinking that you could do is, if you really wanted to jazz it up maybe a little bit, you could add ribbon or something around the edges of your coaster if you wanted to make them a little bit more, I don't know, decorative, but I think I kind of like this one as well. And so in the kits that we're giving people, you get the paper. It's already pre-cut for you, so it's 4-inch strips, and you're either going to get atlas paper or you're going to get music sheet paper. And then you also will get a little brush. You'll get a little sponge dabber brush, and a bamboo skewer, and the directions. So if you're interested in signing up, like I said, you can sign up through the end of the month. The directions will be on our website. This link will be on our website as well. And I just hope you have fun doing this. I had a lot of fun, and I actually dragged my daughter into helping me finish it up, which was kind of fun to do it together. So enjoy, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.